licensed agents, 5 admin. And that's sort of the model I was aiming to have is just what I have right now in terms of the last 6 years of having a team. I started at Century 21 in what was it, 2010, I believe would have been my first year in real estate, and I was there for 2 years. Switched over to LePage just on it being a better feel. And around my 5th year of real estate, I was a Diamond Award winner. Marginally higher average sale price than you guys have, and I was miserable, and I wanted to leave real estate. So I just realized that what I had going, it was great in terms of the money that I was making, but I had no time, and I had to figure out what I really wanted to get out of real estate. And in 2015, I started the team, and I immediately just I had an agent with me that was I was mentoring. I really just wanted to keep a big office, so I needed to have a partner. So I got her to help me out with stuff I didn't want to do. And so she joined the team, as well as 2 people who had shown interest, both of which are still with me. The original person who I was mentoring was not a good fit for this team, so she was gone within a year. And we had 1 unlicensed admin. So that's how I started the team in 2015, and made Chairman's Club, and then every year since, sort of growing in GCI and moving up. Noting that the ranking in Chairman's Club or any awards are not relevant to anything we do. Really, what's relevant is your goals and your time. There's many people that would finish higher than me in a Chairman's Club ranking and be pretty pumped about it. But then on the chairman's trip, they're working the whole time, and don't really actually have any freedom from their business or get any vacation or time to themselves. So that's the basic journey I've had in real estate. Hating your phone, hating your life, wanting an escape and not being able to have one, not wanting to miss a deal.
Sounds so familiar.
Anybody else resonating with that?
I like looking at a mirror.
Yeah.
Right. Opening up your MLS system and seeing a new listing pop up from a person you forgot to call back, or follow up with, and just that sort of constant juggle of things. And I had to figure that out. One of the main things that I speak about is that sadly, realtors are not entrepreneurs. In fact, very far from it. Realtors are rugged individuals. Realtors want to have no boss, and generally they don't want to be a boss. They want to be independent and have freedom and flexibility to do what they want, but usually don't get freedom, but they do get flexibility, which is the flexibility to work while you're on vacation with your family, and not the freedom to go on vacation with your family. So that's kind of the basics of sort of where I am, what I got to, and what I like to talk to realtors about, which is really just finding your way in real estate. Not everyone needs to have a multi-million-dollar business and manage, 11 people, 12 people. That's just not for you. And I think, many people are realizing that. You get your ego out of the way, and you figure out what is it you really want. Maybe you only want to make $200K a year and work 9 months a year. And how does that look to you? There's a couple team leaders here in Ontario who have just stepped down from it. They've given it to their kids or something to run because they just want to be a realtor. They don't want to be a manager or a leader or anything like that. So you got to figure out what you want. Maybe you want to sell all the real estate. I decided I didn't, and I was happy to make less money and sell no real estate. So at this point in time of my 170 deals last year, I didn't sell any of them.
Cool. So I want to cut you off there for a second, Chris, because there's lots of unpacking in that introduction that I want to do and get into some nuts and bolts. And I just wanted to just do a couple little housekeeping things quickly. For anybody watching, we're in a meeting format here. So if you want to, you can switch your gallery views up at the top right corner. If you're looking at Chris, you can pin his video so you're looking at him and not everyone else. And also please mute your mics so we don't hear any background noise while we're kind of going through things. And if you have a question or anything like that, you can put it into the chat. You can raise your hand physically. I'll probably look at you, or you can I think there's a way of doing it, digitally. The other thing is that some of you guys don't know about Chris is he's a very, he's running a team doing all these wonderful things, but he's also, I got to just share my screen with you if you didn't know this. And Chris, you failed to mention that you were also the leader of the Peaky Blinders at one point.
Here we are.
And yeah, so you did that. And then you're a rapper. You're also a rapper. Well, I got to share my computer sound here. Sorry about that. You're also a rapper. You also happen to star in Game of Thrones. You did a couple cameos there. And most recently, you were an amazing WWE wrestler. All right. So if anybody hasn't picked up on it, I downloaded a new app called Reface, and I've been having a lot of fun with it. So, Chris, I try to get some Peaky Blinders in there for you.
In my past life, I was a grade 3 teacher. That's what I came from. Classroom teaching to real estate.
Wow, good stuff. You're not the first teacher I've actually that I've hired. One of our people will know Mark Penner in our office. He was a junior high teacher, so I think that's a pretty good segue into real estate, trying to deal with all those different kind of complex emotions, etc. So I just gotta stop my share here. Sorry. Is my screen still being shared? No? Okay, good. Sorry. Yes, I did that. Alrighty. So Chris, I mean, you kind of started, you alluded to some of the things, that when you started real estate, it kind of built up your sales career and started making some money. And then you kind of got to this point, like you said, that you were at a crossroads, and you started hating it and hating your phone. I think there's a lot of people on the call who might be in the same boat. But what was it like at the beginning there? How did you actually first start building up that business? Because I know you came from grade 3, but you also you came from grade 3. You graduated grade 3, congrats. But you taught grade 3, and then you have a marketing background as well. How did that all translate into real estate when you started, and how you started your career?
I was really kind of thrust into this. I lived overseas for 7 years, and we moved back here to Ontario. We grew up in Mississauga, my wife and I. And we had bought a place in Collingwood, 2 hours north of Mississauga, which is a vacation town. We just bought that while we lived overseas as a place to be when we were home for the 2 months of the summer. We never intended on ever living here. We were just going to hang out here, take a year off. We had saved to sort of semi-retire and figure out what we want to do next. We just had a baby, and that was August 1st, 2008. And if anybody remembers September 2008, when the world economy crashed, we lost everything. My wife was pregnant and with our second, and we really needed some income, and neither of us were working. So I took my real estate courses very quickly in a town where I don't know anybody at all, with a low average sale price, joined Century 21 on what I was told was an amazing 50-50 split. And just decided that I would take a target of the 2 top realtors, and I was going to beat them. And I just basically blindly started sending mailers, making calls, doing open houses on other people's listings, anything I could do to just get traction and connect with people.
Right.
And then in my first year of real estate, I did 11 deals, about 120K GCI. And, it was getting traction. I was having some fun with it. But of course, it cost me a lot of money to make that, so I was not getting anywhere. And I just hustled and hustled more to get to the point where I was at my breaking point.
Right. So with that hustle, and I think, everyone on this call has, we're in this as top producers, these are productive agents on the call. So I think these guys all know the hustle and the grind. So can you tell me a bit about that grind and then this breaking point? When did you realize, sometime did you realize like, oh my God, I'm actually at a breaking point, or how did that kind of epiphany occur?
I started to actually get either voicemails or emails from my clients saying basically, F you, you're too busy for me. I'm going to find someone who actually cares. And those are just clients I was forgetting I was supposed to call or have seen. I was getting messages saying, I'm at the house. Are you showing it to me today? And I would say, shit, I didn't book the appointment and it's not in my calendar. So I would have to make up some excuse why I can't show them the house that they're standing in front of in February. So it was all just coming crashing down. Like I was losing business and my reputation for great service was disappearing. And I really didn't know what to do. So I actually asked my broker of record if I could buy in, and I thought I was going to be a better leader and I could help people build their businesses, and I could be the agent trainer and stuff like that, and I could make money on a brokerage level. And he at that time wasn't ready for a partner, and he said, "Why don't you just start a team and make Chairman's Club? It'll be way better for you." And I'd never heard of Chairman's Club. I didn't know what it was. I really didn't care too much about awards or even talking to realtors at all. I found the realtors impossible to talk to and all kind of scrappy and defensive and I'm busy, are you busy? And same conversations and all scrapping for business. And I didn't like realtors at all in this town. So he said to do that. So I said, well, I'm either going to leave real estate or I'm going to try this, and turned out pretty good.
Right. So from, hey, I'm going to try this, it turned out really good. I think there's a lot of work involved there and a lot of decision making. So at this, I'm kind of curious, like at this position, you're not really liking realtors, and I think I heard a few chuckles in the room, and I saw a few smiles and some smirks because I think we can all identify with that as well. What was this, when you decided to, quote unquote, quit real estate and stop being this agent and make this Chairman's Club? Can you tell us a bit about how you came to that decision and what were the first steps you had to make?
Well, it was recruiting the people that I thought would be agents with me on the team. My original model is different than what I had now because I was selling. And I think there was a couple key things. At this point in time, sometimes it's hard to reflect back exactly what the points were, but we do a lot of tests or assessments, Colby, DISC, and then there's a Doug Bolger's color assessment that Richard Robbins had given to us. And those things were really big for me to realize that I may jump out of the plane, turn around and ask for the parachute to be thrown down kind of guy. Other people check the parachute 100 times, check the pilot's background, all that stuff. I'm in the plane. I don't care if there's a cat driving. I'm jumping out of the plane. I'll figure it out on the way down. So as such, I kind of went into this blind, but blind commitment is really, really important. If you're committed to, what you're going to do, if you're hesitating, I don't know if I want an assistant. I don't know if I want to do this. I was committed to growing the team and taking it wherever it went. And I think that's huge. And the big turning point, and we went to Richard Robbins with my team's then now every year's top producer, which she always loved going to Richard Robbins. She took me down, and it turned out on day 3 of the Richard Robbins, there was this team event that you could sign up for, and she encouraged me to stay the extra day and go to it. And it was all the top producers basically in Ontario, I think maybe some from out of the country. So I was with the Roca sisters and a bunch of big teams that I'd heard of. And Christopher Invidiata. Anyone know Christopher Invidiata? He's a Remax guy. He's been like top realtor in the world out of Oakville. He did a presentation where he broke down a team and how he runs it. And he had a bunch of fruit. And he started passing it to people as his hands were full, and he was giving people pineapples and throwing apples to people. And the big thing he said to me was that the team is a separate entity, and that even if you're selling, there's a split for you with the team, and everybody pays the team because the team is an entity that has to run itself. That was a big turning point to direct me in terms of how to run a team. And there was a guy in that room who's very well known now. And Invidiata had everyone stand up, and he said, all right, so I'm just going to start saying GCI numbers, and then you sit down when I go above your number. He said 250, everyone stayed. Then he went to 500, some people sat down, including me, and 750, then he said 1 million. And a few people stood up, stayed up. I think there was maybe 3 people up. And then he said $1 million personally, and then he said $1 million profit. And one guy was still remaining, and he said, "Who are you?" And he said, "I'm Mark." He didn't even say his last name, but everybody sort of marked Ferris. And he was just so that was a huge turning point to sit in a room with top producing teams, see how much everyone makes. We had a closed door. They said, no one says anything from this room. We're sharing everything. We had tables we sat around at. And I think that was a big thing. If you're talking about sort of what set my course, it was that. I think that won Richard Robbins 3 days before I started my team, officially on December 1st, 2015.
Yeah, awesome. And I do want to circle back into some of the nuts and bolts of building a team, but not everybody on the call has a team. Not everybody on the call wants a team. And that was one of the things that you and I, when we first spoke over the phone about this today, was that it's not about that you have to build a team or anything like that, but it's really about discovering what you want. Can you talk about what helped you discover what you actually really wanted out of this business, and not, you know, what was being projected on you, or not what the volume board said, or competition or awards, but you decided what you wanted to build? Can you take me a bit through that, and whether it's not, again, team or anything like that, just what you want? Can you talk about that?
At the time, I don't think I really knew. Again, I'm a jump first, figure it out later type guy. Really, what I wanted was control. I think I wanted control of my life back. And I was trying to figure out how I could do that I was great at getting leads. I was great at marketing. I didn't like being so consumed with clients and client care. So I needed people to help me with clients. And I just began delegate. As soon as the day my team started, I didn't do another listing again. Every single listing I had went 50-50 to my team. And they ran with it. So what I realized now looking back, and it was Linda McGuire, another chairman's club out of Burlington, which is a really big thing that helped me want to stay in real estate, was meeting top producers like you guys that aren't the scrappy people in the business that are just angry and fighting and all full of ego. Not to say there aren't some egos in the chairman's club, but it was good to have, you know, a good group of people to relate to, because I couldn't relate to any other realtors. But Linda, you know, asked, how did you get, like, everyone wonders about trust. How do you trust the agents that you work with, that they're not going to take your business and leave? And how did you build trust with them? And the big thing that was good for me was the impulsiveness of just, I wanted everyone to take every client I had. And I would just take a smaller portion of it, run the team. And then if there's any money left, I'd get some money. I committed to it right from the start. And that was really big for me to build. And I realized later, trust was built immediately because I didn't hold on to anything that's mine. Nothing was mine anymore. And I told my team, nothing is yours. As soon as you're into this team, everything is for the team. Everything is for us. Everything is ours. Nothing is yours, and that's yours, and you get this. And we're never arguing over that. So I wanted control, and I wanted money to be a byproduct of time.
Right. So if you were talking to some of the agents who again, maybe don't necessarily, well, let's put it this way. Do you think that that is what every agent needs to do? Or is there ways of, if somebody's saying, hey, you know what, I really like the client care, I really like that part of the business, how can they still do that, you know, serve their clients, do that job, but also get some of that control back? That makes sense.
I think setting limits. I think you have to decide what you want. On my team, we put time first. They are admin and agents must book vacation. You must have something to look forward to. As a teacher, you always looked forward to a long weekend, March break, Christmas. There was always a holiday coming up as a teacher, and you're always looking forward. And there was never a long stretch of time without that break.
Right.
And you know, if you had to, you know, when you're a teacher, you just run meetings all day, every day with, for me, 8-year-olds. So it can be exhausting. So you need that break, and we do as well. So I think, you know, setting those boundaries for time was important, and figure out really well. I wanted my time and control back. That's what I wanted. So if you're able to set out, and everyone's afraid, you know, even when I bring agents on the team, I say, well, how much money do you want to make? And they say to me, how much money can I make? And the reality is, you're going to make as much money as you decide to make. That's it. you're going to get as much time off as you decide to take. And once you start committing to that, that's when it all happens. So you have to decide, pick an amount of money you want to make and figure out how many deals you have to do that, and how you're going to do it in terms of staffing up, hiring other agents, what that means to you, and, you know, put those goals ahead of you. And I think that's the best way to figure out how to get there, you have to figure out what you want. You have to be honest with yourself. You have to look yourself in the mirror and say, am I okay selling 40 homes and making 200K? Am I okay with that? Will my ego stand that? Do I need to have, the nicest car or the nicest house? What is that? You have to really be honest with yourself and your ego and figure out what it is you want from this business. I started a team and made less money as a team leader than I did as an agent selling, right? My business looked bigger, my brand looked bigger, but I made less money. But I had so much time. I had control over my time. I had my life back. And that's what I realized I wanted. I wanted control of my time, and I got that. And then I switched the gears and turned, okay, how to make this profitable. Now I'm going to make this profitable. But you have to figure out what it is you really want in this business. And it's not to hustle and to make money. You want a result from that money. And what is the result you want? Why do you want to make that much money? How many deals do you actually want to do? How many hours a week do you want to work? All of my agent had to decide, how many hours do you want to work? How much vacation do you want to take? How are you going to build your business? They have to think about all that stuff. And I have to prioritize that for them to get to their goals. If you don't have a target, if there's no rudder on your boat, you never know where you're going to end up. And sometimes the slightest turn, if you leave Halifax and you turn like this, you're in Africa, or you're in London. Africa, London. It doesn't take a 180. It just takes small tweaks to change your trajectory, right?
Right, absolutely. And I know when we chatted, we talked about, and you mentioned it, not a volume board, but a vacation board. So is that, and where you're scheduling and setting those days off, is that something you actually do with your team? Is you really you focus on those vacation days and book them off and kind of keep track of those?
Yes. My team is, money's a byproduct of hard work, and we got to put time first. We have a give first mentality. Again, this is a team. You may not be set for a team. You might be someone that wants to just have an assistant or a licensed assistant or a buyer's agent. Figure out, really what you need to do is you need to make 3 lists: what you love about real estate, what you tolerate about real estate, and what you hate about real estate. And all that stuff you hate is your job description for the first person you hire. And that's how you're going to figure out what you want out of real estate. So figure out, what do you love about this business? Some people say, I love taking buyers around. I love that people person stuff. They're extrovert. They want to be there. Some people like the marketing, the planning. Some people like listings. Some people like the deal. They like the negotiation of the deal. They love that excitement. Figure out what it is you really like about real estate. What I like about real estate is marketing. I love elevating the level of service that realtors offer, because we've all been in this place where someone has basically looked at you like, you're useless, you're worthless. I don't know why I'm paying you 5%. You're not, like, I could just put any sign in my lawn and my house would just sell itself. We've all been in that position where realtors aren't valued, and there's a lot of realtors that shouldn't be valued, that aren't putting in the time, money, and effort to earn 5% for selling homes, especially when you start selling higher and higher dollar volume homes. When you're selling a $3 million listing and people say 5%, holy shit, that's, I'm going to pay you 150 grand to do this. It's tough to justify. So I knew I loved justifying the value of real estate through knowledge, through education, through patience, through commitment, through actually caring about the people and not the little dollar sign that's above their head. And people see these clients as a commodity. So I don't know if that answers your question. You guys will notice I tend to branch off, ramble here when I don't have a planned presentation.
No, it's good. I love it. I wrote that down. I thought that was a great line. I know it's something I identify with personally. Is just, you said that you love justifying the value of real estate, and what an interesting, and it's a different shift from, like, you think of marketing, right? Just self-promotion. That's what kind of marketing is, right? Love justifying the value of real estate. I thought that's a great thing. I wrote that down. I'm going to be using that. If that's okay with you, I'm going to steal it. I'll give you props. I'll give you credit. And that's, just to the group, just thinking about that, when he said, what do you love? What do you tolerate? What do you hate? I'm curious, if you don't mind, Chris, I'm curious on the group, if you want to either, speak up, or if you want to throw it in the chat, what were the first things that came to mind, whether you love, tolerate, or hate? Anybody care to share?
Anything in 4A.
What's that?
Anything in 4A?
Yeah, anything in. It was a joke. Anything in 4A. Hate
I'll
anything in 4A.
It's just down the street from
geez,
me.
that's
Ken. I'll take it.
sorry, that's, I'll just to interrupt, Chris, that is an MLS area of the city. It's the core. Anyways, John, you were going to say?
I'll take his 4A stuff. It's just down the street here, so we're good.
Hey, Chris, what do you consider, when you say considerably less money for not selling? Is it like hundreds of thousands of dollars? Is it slightly marginally less? Are you working now 9 to 5, never on weekends? Like, what does that look like?
For the money or the time?
Both.
The money was probably 25% less.
Okay.
Now, you know, in a way, I may have been earning more money, but the cost to earn that money by paying salaries and marketing dollars and stuff,
Right.
you know, it was definitely, my agents were making more money than me. So that's just something I was fine with to get my time back. And really, my time was, when my eyes were open, it was real estate. It was my phone would buzz or ding or a light would go on. I used to have a little clip I put on my hip. There's some women in here, anyone who's had a baby, the Braxton Hicks stuff my wife would go through where she's feeling contractions that aren't real. I would feel like my hip buzz, but I didn't even have my phone on my hip because I was just so alert to this all day, every day, nonstop. So it went from every waking hour to being able to turn it off and first of all, not worry if I miss something. I had to be okay. I think it's a big thing for everyone in real estate. You have to be okay letting it go. Look at the board and how many units sell and how many units you sell and how much real estate you don't get. So just be okay with letting some stuff go so that you can have that recharge that you need. Just shut the phone off at 5 o'clock, really shut it off. Not just use it a little bit less, but those resets are huge. And I think everybody should have free days, buffer days, and focus days where you figure out, you know, when are you making money? When are you doing the prep work to make money? That's your buffer day. And when are your free days when you're actually free? If you just shut off your phone for a day, I guarantee you nothing will happen to your business and you'll feel like $1 million. Even if it's just you solo, set your auto reply for a day, make it something clever, and then just disappear for a day, and you'll recharge. So getting back to your stuff, Royce, my time has gone up and down because sometimes I just gotta crush hours in this business. But you know, today I have two jobs: client care, where I'm generating leads through my database, and I have business development. So right here I have some contracts with a marketing company I'm going to join up with. I have a couple developments. I have some community work that I'm doing. I have all this stuff that I'm doing that's non-business stuff. And that's what was starting to consume my time. But I could have weekends off. I may have to delegate a lead. But I had people to be on the ground helping, and they were happy too because they were making tons of money, which is a big thing. If you're ever going to be in a team leader position, you better make sure that everything you do is for the people that are working on your team. And the last person that you think about is you. That's the only way you're going to build trust on your team, is to make sure you are helping them reach their goals, and you're not thinking, oh, I might lose some money and I don't want to, that's mine. It has to be, nothing's yours anymore, and everything's for the focus of the team. So I don't know if that answered everything, Royce, but the money went down, the time went up, and my time fluctuates. At this point in time, I have an amazing team that we've built over the years, and I don't have to work on weekends. My calls are forwarded. I don't have to check my emails. I don't do anything. I can just take off whenever I want off. And my team is there to pick up the slack.
Yeah. And I'll say, you know, the power of, again, having that phone just turned off. And even if you don't want to completely turn it off, give it to, you know, if you want to take out for the weekend, you know, give your phone, physically give your phone to somebody else, or transfer your calls or forward your calls, so that you're not, you know, that you are off and, you know, your client just doesn't get a dead phone. But I think I agree with you, Chris. You know, when you're on, be on; when you're off, be off, right? And that's how you fuel the tank.
And listen, I got this advice from Mark Ferris direct at a mastermind we used to do with, and if anybody knows Ferris, Matthew Regan, Sean Ziegelstein, Mike Heddle, these guys, we all went. And Ferris told me that he has absolutely no notifications on his phone. He said he turned it off. And that day I turned off everything on my phone. And since then, recently I've turned on some notifications for this lead system we were doing that I needed to be on point for because it was time, but no buzzing, no dinging, no nothing from your phone. Does anyone on this call feel like if you turned every sound, beep, buzz, lighting up thing on your phone off, do you think you would forget to check your phone? You would just check it when you want. You would own your time. That's like the first thing you can do to start owning your time again is check your phone when you want to. It's sitting there buzzing on the table and you're not checking it. It's just distracting you from what you're doing. And if you read all the studies and stuff like that, every time your mind switches from one thing to another and then back, your focus is gone and it gives you the same feeling, oddly enough, of being stoned. If anybody's ever smoked some weed, I imagine everyone has at some point in their career, in their life. I can see David have a big smirk there. Of his 40 years in real estate. He's hit a few joints.
Or like who's stoned now? Who wakened or woken both?
Really, like people don't realize you have to own your time. And I would actually sit at meetings with clients at a restaurant, and they would have their phone facing up. I would reach over and turn their phone upside down. So you can't keep, because they'd be like just looking down. Oh, what's that? If you have an Apple Watch, just throw it in the garbage right now. It's going to ruin your life. It's absolutely going to ruin your life. There's no way anyone is going to forget to look at your phone, right? It's just not going to happen. Not in this business. You're going to look at it, but you're going to look at it when it's time for you to look at it. So that was a big thing for me to own my time and just to feel this like weight come off, because there was no more like, look at me, bing, 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 ding, like bzz, 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 like who is that? What's going on?
I am turning all my notifications off today. I'm doing
everything off. And
I'm gonna see
I
that.
guarantee you won't be like, where's my phone? I didn't even know I had it. You'll be checking it anyways. Especially if you have social media notifications, that will ruin you.
Yeah.
Go fantasy football. Personal.
You don't want it. You don't want it.
Fantasy football might be worse than actual text from clients.
Might be right there.
Especially if you're a Cowboys fan, Andrew.
One of the things you're talking, again, kind of back to the love, tolerate, and hate. And you mentioned, just your income, down, but time, you gained your time back. And am I right in saying, Chris, that it's not just the amount of time you gain back, but the quality of that time and what you're actually doing? Because it sounds like that time that you spend now is actually focused on the things that you love about real estate. So it's not just a matter of, hey, I got more time, but it's the time I'm spending in real estate is on the marketing, on the stuff that you actually love to do. Is that accurate?
That's accurate. So also, if you figure out your love, tolerate, and hate, what you're going to find. So if you have a hobby or something like that, if you say to me, we're going to go play pond hockey and it's going to be for 8 hours today, I just say like, how often are we going to break to eat? Or will there be beer involved? But if you said you got to go do a buyer tour for 8 hours today, then I would just put right here and done, because I don't want to do it, because that drains my energy. So you have to figure out who you are, really be self-reflective, and what energizes you. Because if you're doing something that energizes you, you'll do it all day. You won't even feel like you worked. It's when you're dragging your ass to work and doing your FinTrack paperwork and doing this and doing it, you got to figure out what is your pay grade. So I'll probably throw up a slide here in terms of hiring, which I should probably do that at some point when you, hold on a second.
Yeah, look, go with it while you're hot.
Yeah, so let me get out of this and all, but because you have to figure out how much you're worth per hour. First of all, you figure out what you want. Do you want to manage people? Do you truly want to manage, motivate, and lead people? That's really important. So how many people do you want to have? And another thing from Mark Ferris' presentation was, if you're going to hire somebody, for us, it's a 6-hour drive to Ottawa. And he said, if you can drive to Ottawa and back with that person and not want to murder them, then you can hire them. So you really have to be able to tolerate them. Let me try my best to multitask here and find my keynote. So figure out what you're worth sleeping, and that will give you an idea of where you should be spending your time and why. Start screen share. Can we see that now? Can you see that, Michael?
Yep.
Okay. So, get uncomfortable with hiring. Discomfort and procrastination is your guiding light. If you're uncomfortable, then you're going in the right direction. If you're procrastinating on something, it's probably the most valuable thing that you can do. Procrastination just means you don't know it yet. You're unsure, so it's a learning opportunity. So some people will punish themselves over procrastination, which I used to do, but it's a good thing. Take note of what you're procrastinating, and that should be the direction you're going next in life, because it's what you really want to do. You're just not sure how. Because if you're procrastinating, it means it's still on your mind. I'm not procrastinating about going snowmobiling because I don't want to go snowmobiling. It's not important to me. But I'm procrastinating about riding my bike in the winter, getting fat tires and doing that, because it's something I actually do want to do. So it stays on my list of things to do. I'm just haven't gotten there yet. So I think it's really important to think about procrastination because we don't procrastinate on things we don't want to do. If you don't want to do it, it leaves your mind. It doesn't happen. So think about the 5 steps to delegating. I had to really focus on this feedback loop, which is overcoming first of all, what is the outcome you want from this? If you're not clear with the person you're hiring, what is the outcome you want? What are the preferences? How do you want it done? What are the tools to do it? Trust them to do it, meaning they're not going to do it as good as you. Every single person you hire to do a job that you used to do is not going to do it as well as you. Simply, that's just how it works. And then a feedback loop to talk to them about what you expected and what the outcome was, and continue that loop to go through it until you refine it to get as best as you can. But you're going to find no one does what you do as good as you do. So anyways, if you look at the bottom of the slide, 300 grand GCI, I'm assuming everyone has 300 grand GCI on this call, and you work 60 hours a week, which I would say, if by show of hands, is 60 hours a week a low amount? Probably a low amount, 60 hours a week. So 3,120 hours per year. So what you're worth per hour is $96 an hour. If you're working 60 hours a week. Now, what are you worth sleeping? There's 8,760 total hours in a year. So if you make 300K GCI, you're worth $34 an hour sleeping. So then when you get to that hate list, think about paying someone 20 bucks an hour to do that stuff for you, because your time is more valuably spent, like Royce was saying earlier in this call, in the love. You're going to exponentially grow those dollars you're spending on hiring someone just by getting yourself back into the love column. And that's what we need to do. Get yourself in what do you love and what energizes you, and delegate the rest somehow. If you just want to be a sole individual, I would say real estate is going to be tough for you. I think everybody at least needs an assistant to help with paperwork and running errands and stuff like that. And if not, also a buyer's agent or a listing agent that'll take on half of your tasks. So, that's basically.
I have a question. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, if I cut you off, I apologize. I can let you keep going. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I just had a question. So you have 5 admin, which is to me astonishing for a team with 6 agents that are selling. So can you maybe just talk us through like what each of those 5 admin do? Like, do you have a client coordinator? Do you have like a client concierge? Are they just all admin? Are they marketing? Can you talk us through that?
Yeah. So first of all, in terms of it seems outrageous, I think it's important to note that the average GCI net of the team for the agents on the team is probably 250. So
You're saying that's after they pay the team expense or that expense, or their GCI, right?
So my team operates where like on a listing, it's 60% to the team, 40% to the listing agent, and I'm counting only their percent. Now, it doesn't come through the team and then go to them. It goes direct to them, on just like if you split with a buyer's agent and another brokerage, it just splits like that. So, and in terms of, we'll get into splits at some point, but at the end of the day, splits don't matter. You have to figure out how much money you want to make in real estate. And if you can make it, if I said you could make 250 and get 8 weeks off a year, and have every expense paid for you, then that could be appealing for you. So I have 5 admin because I want to have crazy good service. I want to justify the value of real estate. So I have a full-time stager that does staging, and she also does things like make brochures. And so we figured I put all the admin put all their tasks up on the board on Post-it notes, and then they put the ones they don't want, and someone else said, well, I like doing that, I'll take that. Oh, you don't like writing blurbs? I'll write blurbs, I'll take that one. And they made their own job descriptions. So they kind of overlap, but mainly of a stager. I have a marketing, social media, tech design type person. I have, listing coordinator, deal processor, and also business development help to help me with the bigger projects. And then I have an accessory admin that picks up all the slack, picks up gifts, runs errands, takes overload, covers vacation, that sort of stuff. And then I have finance, payroll, invoices, all the stuff, taxes, all that stuff, in terms of running it as a business. So I run it as a sort of a miniature brokerage within my brokerage here. Michael, do you want to sort of bring us back to maybe where
Yeah, no, I wanted to, like I said, while you were hot, I wanted you to get into your stuff there. So no, that's great. And that is, I mean, talking again, because we have a wide range of people on the call from various different, backgrounds and businesses. It's always tough to, talk about one thing that appeals to everyone. But what Chris said there, again, kind of bringing things back to, you really have to decide what you want, right? And what you want out of your love, tolerate, and hate, and how you can really be the architect of your business. Again, whether it's hiring all these admins and being into management and leadership, or if that's not your thing and you want to be that realtor, Chris, right? And who's out in front of people, well, then great. That's in your love column, and that's how you can structure this thing, right? I think that's incredibly valuable.
So let me just, while I'm on there,
Sure.
I'm going to finish up this and stop sharing my screen, but I think it's important when you are, because a lot of people said they want to hire an admin, or you guys are splitting an admin or something like that. I started with 12 hours a week, 15, even if you went $15 an hour, I think I started at $20 an hour. A big thing for me is overpay. Real estate is a grind. Just overpay these people. It's going to be a small amount for you and your net income. So don't try to get
that, Chris. She's right there now. She's like, oh fuck, now I need to get more money.
But when you think about it, everyone's worried about commit. You don't have to commit to a $40,000 a year salary you're paying today. You have to commit to, if you do 12 hours a week at $15 an hour, it's $180. I'm sure you guys have all blown that on a bar tab on Wednesday afternoon. So it's not that much. And that my first one would have been $8,000 a year, which is not even a deal. And then you just grow it from there. They start staying more, and then suddenly you get them to salary. So you're really not, it's not a big investment to make to hire someone, but the big thing you have to do is commit to hiring that person and training that person, going through that feedback loop. If you sort of say, well, I had it for a bit, but I wasn't sure, it means you weren't committed to it, right? There's nothing, that's going to be stronger for you. There's no such thing as discipline, I like to say. Everyone's disciplined to their present set of habits. If you murder Big Macs all the time, it takes commitment to doing that to get your stuff 350 pounds. But that's just your habit at that time. So, you have to be committed to what you're doing in that. And we go on to this. Next thing is splits don't matter. Expectations of the people on your team, fulfillment and happiness matter. Consider time, money, treatment, your leadership, if you want to be a leader, and what type of leader you want to be. Are you an entrepreneur? Are you a manager? Are you someone that just wants to have a partner that helps you in terms of your admin? Get rid of, but that's my client, if you're going to grow a team. And this is a little thing from my son, who decided he was going to cut X number of lawns in the summer to earn money. And then I asked him, how are you going to actually cut that many lawns? And he then decided he would take half the price per lawn and get his buddies to help. So then he could do the 40 lawns he wants. He makes twice the money that he would if he could only cut 10 lawns personally. But if he did all those 40 lawns himself at the full price, he would make $1,600. But a lot of people think about the $800 they're losing by hiring someone, not about the fact they just doubled their income. And that's an entrepreneurial way of thinking. But you may not be an entrepreneur. That's fine. I mean, it's not everybody's an entrepreneur. Just because when you have your own business, like being self-employed is not an entrepreneur. It just simply isn't. You can't think about yourself as an entrepreneur, especially if that's just not your personality. If you're not a leader, if you're not a manager, if you don't like being in charge of people, if it stresses you out, delegating tasks, then don't do that. Figure out what suits you and how big your business should be. This is just what suited me. I like the leadership. I like the coaching and teaching. I love the giving. I love that, you know, I have an opportunity to help people grow a great real estate business within this team, and make a lot of money and have control of their time and give them all the stuff that I wanted when I was a realtor. That's what I wanted to have, and now I want to give that to people. So, you know, even with the admin, I want them to book their vacations and get out of here and turn their phones off and that sort of stuff. So that's the synopsis. So why don't you dial us back in here, Michael?
Yeah, for sure. No, I loved it, and I appreciate you chasing that rabbit, because I think it's a really, really valuable one. So I'd like to get, because we are going to have some time for Q&A for everyone. So I hope you got your wheels turning with some things. I wanted to ask kind of on the technical side of things, because you are a great marketer, you have a marketing background, and you know, regardless of whether on this call if people are looking at teaming or getting assistance, regardless of that, they all have to be great marketers, right? So can you tell us a little bit about how, I mean, your brand is a real estate done differently. That's your tagline. Can you tell us a little bit about the marketing and how you've been able to promote your brand and your team and really stand out, and again, in a very crowded marketplace, especially in the GTA?
I just, no, I'm not in GTA. I'm north of the GTA, but I'm in a little vacation.
Sorry about that.
Here. You know, my city has 20,000 people. My region probably has 70,000 people.
Okay.
My whole region. But in terms of marketing, so that's just what I have a knack for marketing and growing that. I wanted to justify the value of real estate, and a big thing, if you're going to take my route, and I'm not sure how it works in your city, is for me to do what I did, to be an entrepreneur, you have to spend the money before you make the money. That's the only way to do it. I had to commit to marketing for a business that I was going to eventually have. So I had to appear to people to be the biggest and best agent around here before I actually was. So I used my marketing to be creative, to be persistent. Lots of people will be like, I'll try, you know, putting that magazine ad for this quarter. And if I don't get any leads, then I'll take it out. You know, it's about being present all the time with your share of voice. You know, when I do these presentations, sometimes within the brokerage, you know, McDonald's and Starbucks don't need to spend billions on advertising. I think everyone knows what products they sell, but they still spend billions. Why? Because when you think hamburgers, you better think of McDonald's. That's what they want. If you think coffee, think of Starbucks. They want to make sure they are top of mind to you all the time. So what I did was commit to hiring the person to do it, commit to spending the money on doing it, and fucking hope it works. And that's what an entrepreneur does. You got to do it. Most realtors, well, once I get the money, I'll spend the money. I don't know. And you have this dance, because realtors are a weird combination of entrepreneur, self-employed, rugged individual. At the end of the day, you end up being an employee to your clients that demand your time all the time, usually in an unreasonably urgent way. That they're the only client you have, and they're the most important person in your life, and you better call them within 60 seconds. So for me, it was really just committing to blowing the doors off with marketing and making sure that, you know, another thing I have on my signs is think Collingwood, think Keleher. I want people to know who I am all the time, know what this business is. And that was by committing to the dollars and cents, having a great website, user-friendly website, having great social media. If you're gonna have social media, post all the time, set up a plan of your posts, the type of posts, what are you gonna say to people? What message do you wanna deliver? How do you wanna look to people? What is that? Are you a mom and you have a nice family? Are you a dog lover? Are you a sports enthusiasts? You know, you got to connect with people. You're not going to get every single buyer and seller in this market. They're just not good for you. You know, not everyone's going to be your friend, and you don't want everyone to be your friend. Same thing goes for clients, right? You got to figure out who you're going after. And that's a big thing. If you guys were to pick one niche of people you're going to target, first-time home buyers, young families upgrading, retirees, whatever, pick the one that you want and target them, right? I target people that want to get out of the city. That's who I want. Do I sell to vacation home weekender? Sure. I certainly sell to part-timers. I sell for part-timers, for weekenders, for vacationers, but I want to target people that want to get they want to get north of Highway 9. You got to commit to something. And I think that's a big part of the marketing, is figuring out who you are and what you want to look like, and understanding that there's 1,000 other realtors on your board. You're not going to get every single deal. but you have to figure out who you are. And I think that's what I do with marketing is to just blow the doors off with the spend, to the point that, it was, putting me in debt. I was this big successful realtor that was tremendously in debt from all the money I was spending on my business. That was my path as an entrepreneur. You may not be that way, but you got to figure out what it is you want and how you're going to spend the money. And I think there has to be a bit of entrepreneur in there where you decide the business that you want to have, the time you want off, how you want it to look, what are the deliverables that come around, your buyer guides, your listing guides, your pamphlets, your mailers, figure it all out and then go put it in place.
And in short form, no risk it, no biscuit, right? you got to make leaps as an entrepreneur. You gotta be willing to take those chances and take those risks because there's no reward without risk, right?
Yeah, and you have to be consistent. You're not going to try something for a month. Anything you do marketing wise is 2 years minimum. You're committing to 2 years of consistently doing that. If you're farming an area, if you're doing video blogs, hi, this is one of my video blog series. And then that's the only one that ever happens, right? Here's my weekly blog, and they do one, there's no more. You have to be willing to commit to doing it. Like I'm about to do a morning minute that I'm going to do 60 seconds every Monday to Friday. But I'm not starting that until I have 60 of them written down, because then I know for sure I have, a month and a half, 2 months worth of content. And during that time, I'll keep adding to the list, but I got to get ahead of the game because you don't want to say I'm going to do this every day and then not do it.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely huge. I don't know how many realtors, especially, some of the new ones that have come in, they ask me, oh, I'm going to do postcards or they're going to send out mailers, and they do, again, 1 or 2. And it's like, well, I didn't get a return. This is crap. It doesn't work. Well, yeah, especially for geographic farming, everyone that I've ever talked to, any team leader, successful agent, it is 2 years to start really seeing return on things. So appreciate you sharing that.
I would say related to anyone that's ever done anything physically, whether it's weight gain, weight loss, muscle gain, whatever it is. If you're just like, I'm just gonna do this one curl. Oh, I don't have huge biceps. I'm not lifting that weight anymore. But if you lift that weight every day for 2 years, you're gonna have huge biceps. It's gonna happen, but you have to do it. And if you stop lifting that weight for 3 months, that bicep will go away. You have to make sure marketing is about consistency and being present all the time. If you're not on social media right now and hammering it, I think it's absurd. It's actually free if you're doing your personal site. The business one that you're paying for, you will never get more valuable marketing dollars than what social media is right now. And in 5 years' time, Facebook advertising is not going to be as cheap as it is right now. So get out there, get your target market, get your audiences built, and hit them all the time with stuff. New content, exciting stuff. Listed, sold, listed, sold, listed, sold. No one wants to hear that. They want content, they want knowledge.
Hey, Chris, did you get a lot of the ads rejected over the last few days?
No, why?
Yeah, I don't know. Their Facebook is rejecting like a ton of real estate ads.
I'll ask Kayla if she is, but I don't know. They're constantly changing their parameters. When Kayla works around. There's another thing, like I can't do social media. I have great ideas for it, but I can't execute it. In fact, I used to reach 30,000 people with an ad for a listing, and now I reach 10,000. She's cut it by a third, but she's reaching the right people. So it's not, you got to make sure you know what you're doing. You get the right advice for that.
And they're always changing their algorithms, right? So like try and keep on top of that is pretty hard.
Yeah, absolutely. Whether it's Google AdWords, whether it's your Facebook, Instagram, those are all things that are valuable. If you decided to invest 50 grand into a full-time employee to do marketing for you, you will make 200K with that through that person easily. No questions asked.
So, I mean, okay. So I guess I could maybe start off the question because it's coming soon. So you pay that person 50 grand and these leads are generating. How do you hold your team responsible for addressing those ads and them always coming back saying, oh, they're dead ads. They wanted to rent. They didn't want to buy. And then just that constant follow-up. I have a really important team meeting tomorrow. And a lot of it is we're generating 150 leads a month and they're not closing anything. Like I'm not that person that's going to breathe down your neck. I'm more of a leader by example than I am of like, hey, did you guys get those leads? And like, just, I'm just not that teacher, for example. Like I wouldn't be a good teacher. You
I,
can't.
I think that the tough thing, Royce, is the difference that you sell. So you may have an image on your team that you're taking all the easy leads and you make all the money and you do all the good sales and you're scraping off the top. So for me, it was giving all my leads, giving them good hot leads, not internet leads or cold leads. You know, if someone calls on the listing that they're on, they take that buyer. And I'm not.
The thing is, I give them all that. They get tagged in each listing, so they alternate tags, like we call it, like tagging that agent, and they get everything off it. I don't take any sign calls, any leads. I don't take any of it.
Yeah.
I'm still doing 120 ends a year, and I don't take a thing, right? So I mean, I like to sell. I'm not that managing person. I could never just sit in the office and be that managing partner like you probably are, because I'm not a good teacher. I like to go hustle. That's my passion, is to be a hustler. So I don't think I could do it that way. But at the same time, holding your team accountable for the leads that you are getting them, and it's frustrating. Like, it really is.
Yeah, and I, whenever someone has a problem with the people on their team, I advise them the same thing I advise myself. You just have to look in the mirror. What are you doing wrong as a leader? That you're not motivating them and inspiring them and giving them the tools and helping them and coaching them in a way that's going to get them there. It sounds to me like you don't want to be the manager or leader type person, and therefore you just have people that are supposed to do their business just underneath you within your team and give you a cut. So there's got to be some optics wrong with how they're seeing it, because if they're motivated to make money and you're giving them leads, they should be making money. So you can't just expect someone to take leads and do what you do. They're on your team because they would like to have some collegialness, some face-to-face help, some coaching. They want that help. So they're there for a reason. So you got to figure out what it is they need from you, and offer that. So I would say, well, how can I help you get more leads from an open house? What can I do? Not why aren't you doing it? What can I do to help you? Not what can you do to help me, which is you convert more leads from me. And why the hell aren't you? I think that's a big team leader thing. And then the team leader will be like, well, I'll just do it myself. I'm way better at this. All these people suck. Oh my goodness, they can't sell real estate. What did you do, 5 deals this year? And it just becomes this me versus you. When it's for them first, and to help them grow and reach their goals, then you'll see them get there. That would be my advice on that one.
Appreciate that. And that's what anybody even looking at, assistants, team members, if that's ever down the path, right, is starting it with that mentality from the beginning. Is not what can these guys do for me? And if they come on, I can, how much more hoses I can sell, I can get into their database. It's about what can I do for them, right? How can I help them achieve more? And that together is going to get the team in a better position.
Yes, I think that's, if you're going to have any philosophy on building a team, or even if you just have one admin, what can I do to make that admin love coming to work? Is it pay? Is it flexibility? Is it, bringing them coffee from time to time? What is it? Just fun. You connect with your people and give them a great experience working with you, and make it about the people you're working with, not about you. I think that's the main thing. If you're going to staff up in any way, they have to feel valued, and they have to be valuable, and you have to make it about them first. That's my leadership style. I'm not sure if that works for everybody, but if there's any feeling of selfishness, some culture will crumble immediately. It has to be about, even, from Michael's perspective as the broker of record, he's got to make you guys, feel helped, feel guided, feel like you've got a good roof over your head type thing. So.
Yeah. Well, and I'll at this point, I got a couple last final thoughts, but I want to open up to the group here. If anybody has any questions for Chris on any level, because he's very well versed in a lot of different areas. So if anybody has any questions for Chris, I'd open the floor.
How did you make the transition from selling to managing full time? Was it a 1-year stretch, a 9-month stretch? Was it a 2-year stretch? How did you make that transition, and what were the 4 most important steps that you did in that transition?
I think trust, motivate, and care. I think probably really important in terms of helping the people within your team, do the best they can with the clients for the team. It was probably a 2 to 3 year process of slowly pulling out. So it was, there was 3 of us selling and we all sort of sold the same amount. I didn't actually run the listings. They ran the listings. And I slowly just gave more and more away. And took 2 or 3 years to pull out of it. Then, I find myself, I'm at an open house. Oh, I think that's another thing, is always be okay to do that. Go do an open house. Like this pandemic started, I was doing Facebook Live open houses for the team because no one really knew how to do it or had done it before. So I went and did them. We did Zoom meetings on it. We coached them through. We went through the process. We learned, all the Facebook Live stuff. So I think it's a big thing is was showing that, I've done this and I will do this, and I'm not too good to do this anymore. But as this grew, I think, what is important on the team is they know that if I'm out there selling houses, I'm not bringing in leads. I'm not marketing. I'm not growing this team. They would rather me be here. They can go out do it. It's sort of how it seems here. But yeah, it took 2 or 3 years to pull out. So it's not going to happen overnight. You're just going to, you're going to want to just delegate as much as possible. At the onset of this team, we were a bait and switch team. I took all my buyer leads that came into me, all my clients and stuff, and I set up their showings for Saturday, and I told them I'll meet you at 123 Main Street. And then Leanne was there, and surprise, Leanne would say, "Oh, Chris got tied up," because you worry about losing that buyer client because they don't get to work with you. And they want you, and et cetera, et cetera. And then I get a text from them like, "Thanks for sending Leanne. She's amazing." Now they like her. So you got to make sure that there's people that are projecting the same feel, real estate feel that you project, the same vibe, the same culture, the same, we have a zero pressure relationship first. We tell everyone this is about patience. You can't buy quick here, even though sometimes they have to, but just disarming people to let them know, listen, we're going to go see 5 homes today and you're not going to buy any of them. We're just going to eliminate things. So our buying process is about eliminating finding out the homes you don't want to buy, so we can narrow down. You want one of these. I know you want to be in this neighborhood. You don't want that neighborhood. I know you don't want a bungalow. I know you don't want a 2-story. So we're going to narrow down to what you actually want. So as soon as they feel that, that's the sort of culture we give. And anyways, that's what I would want Leanne and Wendy to do. And I would just bait and switch them. And slowly but surely, I got more and more confident about saying, Leanne Matthews is, from our team, not from my team. It's from our team. But we're all rowing in the same direction. We're all a part of this together.
So
but
Chris,
yes, it happened fast.
About your splits, I talked to Jeremy Zadrill about this because he started that team thing a little bit earlier than I did. He was in the real estate business a year or 2 earlier than me. And then he talked to a lot of the Toronto agents and how like a 60-40 split on the end of the team leader or the team, and then the actual agent only getting 40. Well, that's not going to happen. Like, it's really unheard of here to swing that hard towards the team getting 60 and the agent only getting 40.
Inaccurate, but go ahead.
Here, not there. Oh, is that not the way that is there?
Well, I don't think anyone does it the way that I do it that way. I don't think anyone is able, because they don't have the confidence to do it. But again, if your agent says I want to gross 300K and I want to have 8 weeks off, and you get that, and it's a 90-10, 10 to the agent, 90 to the team, but they're getting it, who would say no to that?
Right.
Would anyone that you would think, any agent that say, I don't want to make 200K and get 8 weeks off and not have to market, not have to buy signs, not have to do Facebook or have a website or anything like that. I just get what I want. The splits really don't matter. You have to sit down and say, how much money do you want to make? And then you have to help them make it. And really and truly, the splits don't matter. And when an agent wants to meet with me to join this team, we sit down and they say, what are your splits? I know it's over. If they're worried about the splits, that's one of their questions for our meeting. then they are going to be about money first, team last. This has to be team first. Money is a byproduct of hard work. If you come to my team and put in the work, you're going to make, the money's going to come. Don't think about the money. So really, in terms of the splits, why wouldn't it? So, for example, I was a 50-50 for my listings. Then I was realizing I'm bringing in the lead, I'm paying for the marketing, I'm doing all the everything. So the team is getting 50, the agent is getting 50. Out of the team's 50, I'm spending 25 to 30 of that on marketing and staffing and all this stuff. So actually the team's netting 20, the agent's netting 50. And that doesn't work. But as long as that agent is getting a ton of buyers because your marketing is, your level of marketing is high. So, if they're able to get then the buyers would be 70 agent, 30 team. Now, many of my Chairman's Club friends say, I can't believe you would give them 70%. That's crazy. Those are your leads. You got that lead. You got that listing. You know what? I don't want to work with buyers. I'm happy to have a volume business where I knew that I had to do like 100 sales a year before I started to be profitable. So, that's a big part of it. I don't get paid until we sell 100 homes. Then I start getting paid. When you look at the sort of overall annual budget there. So anyways, Royce, I did cut you off there.
No, I don't know where I was going with it.
You were saying, first of all, you get what you believe. So I would say not with that attitude, it won't work. But you were trying to tell me that it just simply won't work. And of course, when you start off saying that, it's not going to work. But I bet you it could work if they said, I want this much time off and I want to make this much money. I want to work this many hours a week. That's another question I asked when they join. And if they get all those results, then what does splits matter? Right? It shouldn't really matter. So I would say don't even, that's not something everyone's always asking about splits. And I don't think that really matters because people make the money they want to make.
Yeah, cool. Thanks. Anybody else have any questions for Chris?
I had one last one. Pretty straight and simple. So what would be the number one piece of advice you would give to an agent who's plateauing, who wants to take their business to the next level? Kind of more of a generic question because there's people with teams, people not with teams. So I figured I'd ask something like that. And then that's it for me.
Well, I think you gotta staff up. But before you do that, you gotta think to yourself, what do I want this to look like? What do I want it to be? I wanted high admin and I wanted to grow the agents as we went. Some people you might say, I want to have another licensed person and I want to have an unlicensed person. What does that look like? Well, you got to staff up. You got to say love, tolerate, and hate. There's no way each of you on this call loves everything you do every day. I guarantee you hate at least 50% of it. So you have to figure out how you're going to delegate that out. So if you're reaching your breaking point, you got to take this out, the stuff that's breaking you down. Right? I love the marketing and the creative stuff. If I do that all day, I'm not exhausted when I'm done. But if I have to talk to people all day, it's just, I actually suffer socially in that, my friends will call me on the weekend or something. And I'm like, I can't even fucking talk on the phone. I don't even want to talk to my best friend right now because I just talked all week. I was talking to people nonstop. That drains my energy. I need a recharge from that. My doorbell rings and I just drop to my knees like, fuck, I don't want to talk to anybody right now. I'm not going to that door. I don't care who it is. If it's the prime minister, I'm not answering that door because I can't speak to people any longer. So figure out what drains you and get rid of that. So if you're reaching your breaking point, get rid of the stuff you hate doing. And whether you're hiring someone or you're partnering with someone or you're bringing on an agent or whatever it is. And then if you do bring someone on, figure out what they want. If they are able to say, I want to make this much money, either now or eventually, I want to work this many hours, I want to do these sort of things, and they get to do that, it's a win. I think setting expectations is massive if you're going to bring someone on and not just letting it roll. So figure out what you want, figure out what they want, and then make sure you're helping provide that. But yeah, my breaking point was just that. I knew that I needed help. I knew that I needed people to handle leads. I knew that I wanted to grow the marketing. And I couldn't do it while I was out showing houses, like for hours. Anybody been on like a 4-hour buyer tour that you just want to, like all the muscles in your body give out when you're done, you just like fall into the front door of your house and you just can't even talk anymore. It's just, I couldn't do that and grow what I wanted to grow. But I couldn't also then have agents that are run off their feet and don't get control over their time and are unhappy doing what they're doing. And I can't have, admin that feels too much pressure, too much stress, doesn't really like coming out of the office, is punching in, punching out. I had to go to salary with everyone so that I'm telling them, you're not getting paid for your time. You're not getting paid to come to work. You're getting paid to be effective. There's a good sports analogy. I actually said this to my A team yesterday, my admin team, we call them the A team. A sports analogy that was said by a football coach that said, you do not get paid to play football. You get paid to win. So you're not just coming and putting in your time, you get paid to be effective. You get paid to be efficient. You get paid for results. And that's what the admin side of things. But I think setting expectations is huge for yourself and then for those you bring on to work around you. So first thing first, staff up. Love, tolerate, hate. Get rid of the hate. I think you guys should all make that list after this call.
I put it in big bold letters in my notes. That's good.
List all. Get a whiteboard out and start listing the things you do every day, and even take personal things in there. One of the big things that really there's a couple little phrases that stick in my head. First thing is so I do a coaching program called Strategic Coach with Dan Sullivan. So look that up. It's a great coaching program. It's a business coaching program, not a real estate coaching program. I can't listen to another person tell me to call your clients and farm an area and send a brochure and keep in touch 65 times a year and all this stuff. I don't want to hear that. But Dan Sullivan said on a CD I was listening to one day in my Jeep, Frank Sinatra does not move pianos. Frank Sinatra doesn't sell tickets. He doesn't sit people in the aisles. They walk into their seats. He doesn't open the curtains. He doesn't handle the lights. Frank Sinatra sings. That's what he does. He plays piano and he sings. So you got to figure out what it is you're really good at and then staff out the rest of that stuff. There was a second point, but I've lost it here on that note. I've lost it somewhere in my mind on what, but it was good. I swear.
I know it was for sure. I want to be conscious of your time. So, if you have a few more minutes, great. If there's any more questions, if you got to go, Chris, just give me the nod and we can wrap up. But
I'm fine. I wasn't sure how long this would go. I want to make sure that I answer everyone's questions. I want to make sure you guys also know, you can email me or call, generally, set up a call by text or something and we can have a chat. I'm always happy to answer people's questions. Every single one of us is tremendously different. No one on this call is the same in any way. If you showed your disc profiles and this is my disc profile here, you can see I'm always skewed. My my dominance and influence is way over here, and then my steadiness and compliance is the other side. I'm not steady, I'm not compliant, but I am dominant and influential. So you have to recognize we're all very, very different. So what does the business look like to you? It's going to be very different than what it looks like someone else. No one's going to want to build the same model I have. And I think that's a big mistake in real estate is people try to do what they see someone else doing. Well, they do that, so I'm going to do that. Their splits are this, my splits will be that. Build the business you want. I mean, that's the opportunity you guys have, is to build the business you want. Real estate is brilliant for that. Most entrepreneurs have a ton of skin in the game to get started. Imagine you were selling sweaters. You got to buy those sweaters before you can sell them. If you want to sell beer, you got to get a brewery, you got to make the beer, you got to buy the cans, you got to buy the labels. We don't have to invest anything really. You can get a real estate license, pay your $5,000 to join your board. And then the next day you can get a check, you can earn a check for $20,000 by selling a house, right? So we have opportunities in this business that we need to take advantage of. And I think you need to build the business you want to build and do the things that energize you in this business and off task those that don't.
I got a quick question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So was the love, tolerate, hate model your basis for your system of your business? How did you create your business? Because we always say that in real estate, create a business, build a business. What did you do? Did you draw it out on a board? You paint it? What did you do to visualize it? How do you see your business? How did you do that?
Again, it was
sorry if that was a dumb question. It's just I always hear that. I'm like, I don't know where to start.
Yeah. And really, because I'm a jump out of the plane, ask for the parachute later type of guy, I just started doing things step by step that would get me to not have to do the things I didn't want to do, but it wasn't that clear to me. Ideally, what I would have done is, I wonder if I have this, I don't have the image there. I would, if you look, you should have inspiring things all over your office, by the way, that say the words or the thoughts that are important to you, and also do things very boldly. I wrote on my wall in my second year of university, 250,000. I put the number there, and any agent that walked through my office saw that. And I remember one of the top agents, she said, "You're so cute." She thought it was so cute. She was older and a top producer, and she thought that was funny that I wanted to do that in my second year of real estate. But that's going to make you want to do it, is writing it on the wall. So that's really important. So if you, whatever your mindset is, if you want to draw a map out of how it looks like, draw the map out. If you want to write it down, write it down. But for me, it was deciding without really thinking love, tolerate, hate, it was really thinking about what do I not want to do anymore and how do I not do it? I've been able to articulate it over the years, looking back, but see what type of person you are. If you're a planner, then you should plan. If you're, if you're impulsive, be impulsive. But nothing is going to be more powerful than being committed to it. If you're half in, it's not going to work. If you're like, I'll try this for a little bit. I wasn't trying this for a bit. This was do or bust. I was building a team and I was going to do less and less of the stuff that I didn't want to do. But I was going to make sure that the people that brought on weren't there to help me. I was there to help them. And that's probably the fundamental mindset that I had without really articulating it. I think that's maybe just my natural way of being is I'm a giver, and I like to provide opportunities for people. I'm a giver, I'm a connector, and that's what I wanted to do. But yeah, not a stupid question at all, John. I think it's love, tolerate, and hate would probably be the best way to start for anybody.
Chris, I'll ask you something, because there's quite a few of my friends that are actually on this call with us as well, and I get asked this question. I don't really know what to say because I just know how it works, but they say, well, I want an assistant, but I only want a part-time assistant, or what do you have her do 5 days a week for 8 hours a day? And I'm like, I don't even know, like, she's just busy. And they're like, well, I do 60 deals, not 120. So how would you stay busy? How would you keep her busy doing that? And I was doing 60 deals and I kept on busy the whole time. So what is there other things that that or something maybe that you can provide us, like a document? I know Tom's story gives us a ton of stuff, but that that your admin does all the time. Like, I don't even know what to say to them, what she does, because she's just always busy. Just doing stuff. I don't know. It's just.
I get a ton of documents I can share if anyone emails me. We have a share file that I give all my coaching materials and my listing guide and buyer guide. I can email you links to those buyer guide and listing guides online to show the content we have. So I'm happy to share everything, but specifically what your admin should do is your hate. That's what they should do. So your admin, Royce, is going to do totally different things than Brian's is going to do. Because Brian might actually love deal processing and you might love marketing. So his assistant does marketing and your assistant does deal processing. He likes it. He's a box checker. He's like, check, check, check. He doesn't like the creative part of marketing. So he does that. So, what does your assistant do? I think the big thing is you might hire an assistant for 15 hours a week and you might feel like, shit, they really only had stuff to do for 10 hours. Who cares? You're going to fill that time. You got to commit to it and say, I'm going to have that person come to the office and it's the new thing. You've got to get uncomfortable. This is a huge thing. Get uncomfortable. If you're comfortable, then you're doing the wrong thing, right? I think we spend our time in life trying to avoid those hiccups and those obstacles and keep life smooth. One day, everybody at some point realizes those obstacles are life. That's the excitement. Imagine you were playing tennis and you had the best serve in tennis and every shot was an ace because no one was hitting the ball back at you. You're just like, smack, another point. It's amazing. I'm going to crush this. You need someone hit the ball back at you. And that's the getting uncomfortable. You need those obstacles. So in terms of what do you tell people, make those 3 columns, hire someone and not really know what they're going to do. Tell them that. That's the expectation. Every person in this office I'm not really sure what you're going to do, but come on in. Here's what I'm going to pay you. come to the office.
That
And
kind
then
of goes with what Brian said, and you're like, I have 5 admin, and Brian's probably, and I'm thinking like, what the fuck do you have 5 admin doing, right? But you know, and that's what I try and tell to them is I'm like, just hire them. I promise you, you'll keep them busy.
yep,
Right? Just do it.
you'll hire them, make sure you know, if they're self-motivated. I was like, all right, so you're going to do social media. So find someone that will coach you, figure it out. I'm not going to tell you,
Yeah.
but I'll pay you to be here. And that's the commitment is you can't think of it as losing money.
Right.
Like it's so worth it. It's just going to happen. You hire an employee, they're going to start doing some stuff for you. Then they're going to have ideas themselves. Well, I could do that. I'm going to redo your brochures. I'll organize your filing cabinet. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do like, it's crazy how much you just start filling their time. And you also have to be patient because you're going to, you know, so, I mean, tons of realtors, especially older, rugged individuals, they're like, how could I even teach them to file my paperwork? It's going to take longer to teach them than it is just to do it myself. So they just do their own paperwork. But it's going to be slow at first. They're going to make mistakes. You know, they're going to put things in the wrong place. You can't get angry at them. You can't be upset. They're not going to be as good as you. But then you're going to find out they'll be better than you at a lot of things. They'll be more efficient than you at a lot of things. You know, find out what your weaknesses are. Like I'm terribly unorganized. I am a disaster. But going back to as somebody said earlier, there's a picture in Gary Keller wrote a book, The Millionaire. What's it called?
Yeah, Millionaire Real Estate Agent.
And there's a picture in there, and there's a house that's made up of just like scrap wood, all pounded together over top of each other. The door's crooked, nothing really works. And then there's a beautiful brick house right next to it. If you can plan what you want in advance, you'll have this beautiful brick house. Matthew Regan, if anybody knows him, we've sort of done this in stride together. You know, Matthew, I went to his office one time for a team meeting and a little coaching session and to sit in his chairman's club hot seat. And he said, I sold 52 homes this year. It wasn't very much. Next year, I'm selling 65. And I said, you should sell 0. And then Matthew's more organized than me, built this perfect house, and he knew exactly what he's going to put in place. I have this patchwork house that right now I'm stripping down and rebuilding the way that I want it. So that's because I'm a bit of a scatterbrain, and I need organized people around me. So, you know, I know what my flaws are. I know what where I lack in skill, and I know where I'm good at it. But, you know, I think the main question I was talking about right now is just, what does an assistant do? If you're going to grow in any way, you cannot, there's a ceiling of complexity for everyone. And the only way to pass your ceiling of complexity, you can only sell so many homes, process so many deals, there's only so many hours in a day. So once you reach that ceiling of complexity, you need to learn to delegate to go higher. So at some point, you're going to have someone do some of the work you do, make a call, file some paperwork, do your social media. So write out all the aspects of your real estate business and say, ideally, if I had an extra 100K kicking around, what would I do with it? And then put those people in place. And while you don't have to pay them 100K at first, 250K salaries, you're going to pay it week by week. Fine. You don't have to worry about it. And as those weeks grow, their jobs are going to grow. You're going to free yourself up to do what you're good at. And you're going to go make money. You're going to do the money making things that you're best at. Too many times realtors, once you start doing more deals, you're dragged into doing stuff you should not be doing. So figure out what you're worth sleeping. And then figure out how much you'd be paying people to do the stuff in your hate column. And you're going to find yourself crazy energized, excited to get to work, because you're not dreading doing the shitty things that, that paperwork was ruining me. I was awful at paperwork. I hired someone for, I don't know if I 15, 18, 20 bucks an hour or whatever. And I said, I need you to process this paperwork. And I don't really even know how to teach you how to do it. So let's figure this out together.
All fantastic stuff, Chris. I really do appreciate your time and insights. I'll just highlight a few of the things that I definitely took some notes on. As again, love justifying. That's what you love to do, is love justifying the value of real estate. Of course, the love it, tolerate it, hate it. If you're procrastinating, that means it's on your mind. So have a different view of procrastination. That means it's important to you. You just got to figure out the how. So don't be too hard about yourself with procrastination. I thought that was a great point. One other little line you said through it is careful, or you'll end up being an employee to your clients. I thought that was another huge one, being the difference of an entrepreneur and a business owner versus an employee to your clients and responding to the phone. And then you get paid to be effective. You don't get paid for your time. So I got a lot out of that. And again, I'm, I want to just say, if anybody needs to sign off or anything like that, feel free to do so. Again, I'm on your time now. We're on your borrowed time. So if people want to, if you want to stick around, if they want to stick around, I'm all good. But hey, I've taken up a lot of your time. So whenever you're ready to blast off, Chris, is cool with me.
Yeah, as long as everyone said what they need to say. Jamie, you got something?
Yeah, those 2 links you just sent, can you send them in an email? Like, will they go away if
I'll do that.
Can you, because this is my home computer, so.
I'll do that for you guys.
Thank you.
You'll send them, Michael?
Yeah, I'll send them out to our group.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just copy and paste the listing guide and buyer guide in terms of the materials and deliverables that we have here. But there's tons of stuff I can share. So if you're ever asking, I want to see your team contracts, I'll email those to you. If you want to see what my splits are, I can email you the splits.
I'd love to see that. So I asked this one time. So you pay all desk fees, every fee part is the team, correct? Like your team pays nothing?
No, so my team is unique. We were the first ones to have a team here. So I wanted everyone to have a feeling of being individual from the team, not feeling trapped to the team. Because we were just starting this, we didn't know where we were going as individual agents. We were just trying to combine our resources and build something. So how I structured this is, if it's a 50-50, 50 goes to the team, which has been going through just right to me as an individual. But now that we have a corporation, because we're now allowed to incorporate, it goes to the team corporation, and I take a salary from that, which is probably how many of you guys work. And then the other 50 goes to the agent. And that comes to them just like if they weren't even on the team. It comes straight from the brokerage, and then off that comes a split to the brokerage. It comes like a 1% Royal LePage fee and any other little expenses. So they will. There is a split that if it came through me, I'd pay the split to the brokerage. Then I'd give them what's remaining. So it'd be the same. But they'll have small expenses. But I mean, one of the big problems is they don't, aside from a phone and a car, they don't have very many write-offs when it comes to tax time, which is another reason why it's great that they can incorporate and keep money in their business and not pay 54% taxes on it. Does that cover what you were saying there, Jamie?
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't do a full thing, and I don't think there's one way to do this. Figure out what looks good for you, what works well for you, and put that in place. And if everyone's making the money they want to make in the way they want to make it, and you have to work with your broker of record on how he wants teams to go and how that all works. So I think there's lots to negotiate through that. But if an agent were to gross $300K net of the team, they would probably end up paying taxes on $260. They would file taxes for $260. That makes sense? Because they're going to pay an expense to the brokerage, and they're going to have small, write-off.
I think the tough thing about that here is to gross 260 as a team member, you're selling 50 houses, right? Where I think if you're selling 50 houses where you are, you're probably making a lot more than 250 grand, right? So to try and our average commission's 5 grand, right? So it's, that splits harder because you're saying, okay, it's a 50-50 split or a 60-40 split on the sense of the team getting that. Well, now the agent's only getting like $1,500, $2 grand, right? So and that's the average. I mean, there's a lot that are less than that as well. So I think it's just that, it's a nice model and you would like to think it, but all right, you have to sell. Like, how many houses do you have to sell to make 250?
Probably 30. And then if you sold 50, you're probably around 450.
Right. You would be no way in hell are you going to make 450 off of 50 ends here.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that's a little bit of the hard part as well. Like,
well, and that's where, the numbers might change. And if you have a team member, again, and Chris, feel free to jump in and correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, but if you have a team member, he just says, well, I want to make $500,000 and, work 30 hours a week. It's like, okay, well, your model might not sustain that. And so they're not good for your team.
Yeah,
that's somebody you should hire, right? So say, you should be on your own, go for it, have fun.
yeah, and that's just what you have to say that you know, I don't want anyone to make less than 200. And I, you know, if you want to work 40 hours a week, we can make that happen. It's just going to reflect in how much you make. But I think it's important to make sure, you know, and Royce, you know, the different, you know, in the same way I say I can't do a 90-10 like Kaylee Heaps can, but she's an average sale price of 3.8. So if she has an agent on a listing that makes 10%, they make higher commission than we would here. You know, I think we're about an 8,500 average commission per sale. So yeah, you got to adjust the model, but always make sure if you're dealing with facts or excuses. When we don't want to do something, we tend to make excuses that justify us not doing it or that it won't work. And you're absolutely right. There's going to be differences, but there's going to be a model that's going to work. And, you know, I had to adjust my splits because they were too good in favor of the agents, which you think would be hard. I've done it twice now to up the team's portion as I hire more and more staff. But you have to have the service there and stuff. And, you know, that was another thing from that mastermind with Ferris and Regan, was that they both said, when they saw my splits, they said, we're going to come work for you. And at that time, I think Regan was number 9 in the country and Ferris was number 1. And both those guys were like, we're going to come work for you. We'll make more money if we work for you than if we have our teams. So you have to, you know, there's a way you have to be able to do it. That's a good balance. And I bet you it's going to be different than what you think at the onset. You know, we used to be 50-50 listings and 75-25 buyers. And that was just what it was. But as we've covered more and more stuff, it's shifted, but it hasn't changed the amount of money that the team members are able to make. It hasn't changed the time they get off. You know, they're encouraged. They have to have something in the calendar to look forward to. And you should as well. You should always have a vacation in your calendar to look forward to quarterly, whether it's a day,
Quarterly,
and a week. It's got to be something in there for you to be excited about, so you can know that there's going to be a break and a re-energize for you at some point in the future.
I'm signing off. Chris, good to see you again. Hopefully we'll catch you in June if something happens, but thanks for everything. That was really, really, really great. Lots of notes. See everyone else later. Bye.
Yeah. If no one else has anything else and you want to wrap this up, Michael, I'm good with that.
Yep, I'll give everyone one last kind of ditch effort.
Anyone?
If I have anything, I'll text you.
Yeah. Royce, you guys can set up a private chat.
Yeah. I have
Anyway,
a million questions.
yeah. So hearing none, I just want to say again, thank you, Chris, so much for taking the time out of your day. I know you're a busy guy, and thank you for all the insight that you shared with us, and a lot of great takeaways and some valuable nuggets there. So again, and of course the links, and you're giving us some nuggets and how-tos and some materials. So again, I can't thank you enough.
All right, I just want one closing point here in terms of I'm a busy guy. That's inaccurate. I'm productive. Watch your self-talk. Don't tell yourself you're busy. Don't get up in the morning and say, oh my gosh, how am I going to get through this day? Where's my little thing here? Make sure the self-talk is really, really important. I used to get up like, oh my gosh, I have so much to do. And your day just starts shitty. You're not getting anywhere. We love saying to each other, we're busy here because it means we're making money. Don't be busy. Be productive. Write something down on a card and read it to yourself in the morning.
Every day.
And that'll just give you a feeling of reminding yourself, why do I get out of bed in the morning? Why am I doing this? What am I doing this for? Instead of just getting up and getting dragged into it. Yesterday carries over to today. You're catching up on yesterday to start today. And it's just this endless wheel. Don't be busy, be productive, be deliberate in what you're doing, and don't be reactive. So I think it's very important. So anytime anyone says I'm busy, I said that's inaccurate. Everything I do, I choose to do. And I choose to be productive in the stuff that I do. I'm not busy. Busy is an excuse to not do more. Oh, I'm so busy. I'm so busy. I'm so busy. That's just an excuse not to do more, right? So be productive. Don't be busy. Be deliberate, and make sure you set your goals on where it is you want to be and what you really want to get out of real estate. What do you really want to get out of this business? I think that would be very helpful for you guys.
And
That was a good quote.
Yeah. I appreciate you catching me on that. Yeah, change your words, change your life, right? So again, appreciate it so much, Chris.
All right, guys.
Thank
Enjoy.
you, Chris.
Cheers.
Maybe
Bye.
we'll see you in June.